This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
Welcome to NatureBack Podcast, the show where we speak with entrepreneurs and investors about the green future. My name is Tarmo Verki, and today my guest is Timo from Arkio Industries. Hello, Timo.
Hi, Tarmo. Pleasure to meet you again.
Tell how Arkio Industries was born.
Arkio Industries started out as a bioplastics and biomaterials developer. We were founded in late 2021. Initially, we worked with bioplastics and biocomposites because that's where my co-founder's strengths and experience is. But sooner rather than later, we realized that, why don't we ditch the dinos from there? So we really want to do a material that's actually doing good for the world instead of like basically glossing over all the wrongs the material is also doing on the side. Also, I have a healthy background in recycling, and I realize composites are a real problem in the world. So we also wanted to come up with a monomaterial instead of like contributing to the composites problem.
You mentioned the background in recycling. What was that about?
In 2009-ish, I joined Zen Robotics. Well, it was like I was there from the beginning. My friends founded the company, and I mean, I was with them when they lifted the first robot arm through the window of the first workshop and so on. But it took some time to, for them to actually have the money to start building the team. But yeah, I was there from the beginning, and it was like a wild journey. So we wanted to use AI to solve the world's trash problem, which is, a big enough lofty goal. And we were amply supported in our journey by various investors, and the team was strong and fantastic. So we got to do a lot of interesting stuff with technology for the benefit of the environment.
But, that was 10, 15 years before anyone else really spoke about AI, right?
Yeah, that was actually even before the deep learning, explosion. So I remember the day when our, machine learning, I guess you really shouldn't call it AI at that time. So when the machine learning PhDs ran down this, hallway and were shouting like, "No, it's working!" They actually made it work. They got the GPUs on the game. Now this changes everything. Well, sure did. Now in retrospect, you would say that.
Coming forward to Arkio Industries, you've dropped the AI part and doing a real material. What's the drive? Why? It's so much easier to scale anything digital, right?
Sure is. And I guess it's part like it's a vanity thing to try to actually make something that's meaningful, physical, like a real change in the world. But it's also like I've been doing software for like 25 plus years on and off in various roles. So I wanted to do something that's maybe different. And, I happen to have these friends who worked with products, with materials. So, it's an interesting business, and being a contrarian in 2024, it feels good. Everybody's now jumping onto the AI, and we and part of our team, we just got out of there.
It's a lovely headline to describe the team, of course. The Arkio Industries, the product, you said, the composite material. What makes it special?
So we were with composites earlier, but now we are working with the monomaterial.
Sorry,
and the monomaterial,
that's different things. Okay.
Yeah. So if we go into the basics of materials for us software guys, so there's monomaterials which are basically one material, and then basically the world is built of various kinds of composite materials. I guess plastics are the main culprit when it comes to recycling. So if you take two materials and they combine beautifully, they usually contribute like two kinds of different properties. And you can achieve fantastic things, but what you usually can't achieve is to, in the end of life, take them apart again. So turns out when you talk about composites, what they call recycling is, well, basically burning it. There are some chemical methods these days, for example, for certain plastics, but in the end, if you combine otherwise perfectly usable monomaterials into like a combined material, as in composite, you are looking for trouble in the end. So we wanted to get out of that, and we wanted to come up with a monomaterial.
And monomaterial is just basically, I don't know, a metal is a monomaterial, steel or something like that. But when you mix it, it becomes more difficult. Just explaining to the software guys, right?
Like an example, metals are like could be tricky there, but yeah, if you think about like wood, it's classic monomaterial.
Okay, and your monomaterial, what makes it special?
Our monomaterial, it's actually built on our co-founder Tiina Härkäsalmi's invention already a decade ago. She realized that with proper handling, proper like treatments, you can start to make three-dimensional and surprisingly strong cellulose componentry. And one of the first things that showed her work was a bicycle frame, so that kind of like gives you the idea what this material is like and what it's good for. And it, conveniently, it's also like a direct replacement for a carbon fiber bicycle frame.
But cellulose, in most people's minds is something paper-like, something which is not very strong.
Yeah, and something that's also like a bulk. It's the classic Scandinavian commodity. So if you want to go into cellulose business, you're up against the soda giants that are like UPM or Stora Enso or anybody who's been in the business for more than several lifetimes, and they don't ship anything less than a freight boat. Mm-hmm. So you can start negotiating by the boatload if you're in the cellulose business.
If you need to buy some cellulose, yeah. So one boat, like two boats, three boats. Yes.
Yeah.
Interestingly, there have been a few Finnish startups which are somehow related to the forestry. Also, here in the show, we had one company which was doing dog food out of the cellulose or the wood industry waste streams. For you guys, do you make the cellulose yourself, or is it something you buy boat from the big guys, or is it, or do you what's the raw material?
So currently, if we think about it, not from where we come from, but where we want to end up, I think it doesn't really make sense to try to make your own cellulose. Having just said that, there are these like long-standing industrial giants whose sole business is making cellulose. So the world is not exactly running out of cellulose. We can just source it from where it's convenient. And there's also the added benefit that, shipping, we wouldn't need to basically ship cellulose around. We are much happier to take our production systems, modular, that's something we learned previously, and take it where it's used instead of trying to ship the raw material to us, make, product A, and then ship that to place B.
So ship factory to the place where raw material is made.
Yeah, or license it, or so on. So that would be the end game and the dream, if you will.
What's to reach that end game? What do you need?
I think the basic science is there, and we have our pilots hopefully coming up this summer towards the end of the year. We have our pilot scale lab or workshop, but to go into the stage where we can ship these modules, hopefully by the boatload, it's going to be a trek. So, and I'm afraid, even though we say or we like to joke that we're done with software and AI, and now we are into physical things and wet labs and so on, I'm pretty sure that software is going to be in there somewhere.
Yeah, these days it's not probably doable. But how far is the kind of first bicycle made of the Arkio Industries material? I mean, and I'm taking bicycle here, of course, vaguely. It can be anything.
Outside these like prototypes which we have, or like showcase pieces, I guess if we keep the product simple, so if we would be looking at, for example, furniture, with which my co-founders also have extensive experience with, we could introduce like furniture that has components made out of the Arkio material, like this summer, if there was like a producer crazy enough to go with us immediately. But then again, if you want to be like a component subcontractor to a furniture industry producer, which are often not even the brands, I don't think that would be like a happy place for any startup, let alone the nature.
Absolutely. But for the, typical furniture producer these days probably makes billion products per year and makes, if lucky, 1 cent per product before selling it to IKEA or some other massive chain these days. So that doesn't seem, but maybe there are, I don't know, high-end furniture market where it could make a lot of sense.
Certainly there are, and we've been making inroads and getting feedback from such parties, and it's like a lovely entry point. And also, I mean, we are in the business of trying to save the planet from a couple of angles. So as like a company builder, I really love the idea that I can promise to people who want to work with us potentially that, okay, if you join, you are actually making something meaningful and physical and directly contributing to like a better world, instead of like, for example, working on a software that's going to cut down on like, half a percentage point of the global emissions in some given substance or something, which, I mean, and this is actually, I think, an interesting point. Are you feeling more fulfilled when you do something directly with your skills and abilities, or if you're contributing to like a loftier goal that in the end, like has, at least on paper, much more impact? Like, which one makes you work either more as a more contented worker, or as like a happier, or makes you work harder? What about you? You've also made the trip to,
I've
doing small stuff and more.
Yes, and partly, of course, doing nature backed is the lofty personal challenge of educating people about the possibilities to change the world.
This is what we struggle with as a team, and also with the our extended network. That is it better to try to make like a direct impact right now, or work towards like some larger goal, or like a major, like a system, and try to make a change for good that way. Because of course it feels better to go out there and plant trees, but well, what sort of impact in the end does that have?
Exactly. How do you kind of how have you solved yourself or for the team the logic of using cellulose? Because I'm sure that if Arkio Industries will be big, there will be some green fighters saying that, hey, they're cutting down those trees to make cellulose for you guys. Is it, or have the bamboo plantations and there's the monoculture and it's really bad for the environment to create that pulp?
That's part of the way we want to bring the product to market. So of course now that we are starting with like a component scale or like small scale production, we want to work with raw materials that are the best possible, and they yield the most appealing results. So that means we use like premium Nordic cellulose. But down the line, if we're talking about impact, we want to go towards using side streams. So that's maybe like the next step from like a pure Nordic virgin beautiful cellulose. We want to go to like a side stream that's maybe like an industrial side stream, or even like an agricultural side stream. So it's like something that's maybe offcuts from paper industry, or like sawmills or other timber industry. And then use that. But I guess the lofty goal, the end goal, when we are really talking about, we feel we are delivering to actually saving the world, would be to go and start using, for example, agri-waste as a raw material. But, that's still years off.
But, looking at your technology and the kind of possible possible product roadmap is still kind of out there in the among the possibilities. It's not that you need definitely virgin fiber to cut down those trees to make good.
That's an interesting a theme. So if you as also like an experienced startup guy, so if you think you're going to come out with a company or a product or so, the first impression of your first pilots, it kind of matters. So we want to come out with perhaps beautiful things or needed things or interesting things, even though maybe the money would be in making something that's rough and again something you sell by the boatload. But for a startup, and also for startups production facilities, it makes sense to come out with a limited series or otherwise somehow exclusive, interesting products. And I mean, in the beginning, that's what it's going to look like. But already in the midterm, when we, for example, if we move to using maybe rougher or lower grades of cellulose, then that would change.
This monomaterial, the recyclability is clearly the big thing, right? What are the other kind of big things about your new material?
We've found really interesting properties. So one thing you get with solid cellulose is it's very flame resistant, and
isn't it very paper related? I mean, it should burn, no?
I guess that's where the cellulose thing might lead people astray easily. Yeah. So maybe you could consider this type of a new solid cellulose more like condensed wood.
Okay.
So I guess in Scandinavia it's common knowledge that actually wood is very good for fire safety. But maybe I don't know if that's a common thing or a common sense thing all over the world. But it's commonly known that it makes sense to build out of wood. So it's in case of fire, wood doesn't get destroyed as catastrophically as for example steel structures. So you heat steel for quite some time and then it collapses. Wood, it basically broils there slowly and turns into charcoal, and it keeps standing upright. And with solid cellulose, you see kind of similar properties. We are still exploring what are the end of life implications of having solid cellulose in, for example, structures. But it looks like that's one interesting benefit. Another benefit is it takes color really beautifully. So I guess that's where our teams designer chops come in. So we talk a lot about these, shall we say, non-engineering things when it comes to the material. So what's the look and feel? What are the haptics of the new material? And what sort of colorways can you introduce it in? And this, I mean, as a harder tech software guy, usually surrounded by engineers, this is really refreshing and welcome perspective that you think about a new material and you keep this complete sustainability thinking in it.
So it's not kilograms per square meter or euros per production ton or something like that.
This is actually a point I'm really keen on, which is perhaps not as appreciated as I at least would like it to be. For true sustainability, I mean, it's just what sustainability means. It means that, you don't grow tired of something. You have a use for it down the line, and potentially even, the next generation is still, in favor of some object or maybe even ideal or something. So it's sustainable. And if you really think about what makes something sustainable, it often comes down to design and the desirability of something. So we would like to also somehow keep it up in the discourse that desirable, well-designed stuff that stands the test of time. It's a meaningful thing to do.
Absolutely. So Arkio Industries will have a significant design team.
I guess if you look at the founder composition, that is the design team. But yeah, we are happy to have more designers in the team, or at least design aware people.
Mm. So looking forward for the 2024, what are the big milestones you guys want to reach with Arkio Industries?
So we are really intent on getting, first, also thanks to you, we want to, the world to know about this material and the possibilities of such materials. So I guess that's our goal this year. And then through a couple of pilots, we want to introduce the applications where this would work. And at the same time, behind the curtains, we want to work on the production methods. What sort of scaling options do we have? What sort of as I said, what sort of raw material options we have. So those are the things we will be working on towards the next step, and that would be basically moving away from the componentry or a small scale into the mid scale. So we would like to be introducing this to the living environment.
That's probably in scale few years away still.
Yeah, we can see it go relatively fast, but I mean, if you actually wanted to build out of this stuff, there's architect experience and skill also in the team. So we realized that it's not 1 year or 2 year job to introduce a new building material and get it certified and get people actually trust that.
And use it in the real buildings, and yes, it will probably take some time.
Go inside a building made out of this material and hope they are still alive.
And buy apartment on the floor 5 and so on. And all these small details, which will surely have an impact on the kind of time scale for this.
Yeah, the sort of stuff that software guys usually can skip. There's always 2.0, but I mean, in the real world, there's a lot of businesses where 2.0 may not be you.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a really interesting parallel there, kind of the software guys going to analog world.
This circularity is also one key topic we're really keen on.
Yeah. We touched upon a little bit of explaining the monomaterials logic in the beginning, but what did you mean?
I mean that if you want to go fully circular, then you want to be able to take back what you made, and once you've taken back what you made, again, in the best sense, you can introduce it back to the process and basically use stuff people are not using anymore to make stuff they would rather like to have around. And that's what we have already tested, and we have results in that. So we can take back our product, introduce it back to the process, and make new Arkio, shall we say, components or profiles.
A bit like glass bottles in the Northern Europe or similar. I mean, any other good examples where the circularity actually works on material level?
Glass bottles are, the way it works in Scandinavia, that's phenomenal.
You know the details of that, I'm sure. Yeah.
There's also the consideration of if you're upcycling something or if you're downcycling it, and we think we can hit the sweet spot where we are not exactly at least downcycling something if we take it back because there's a number of materials, also existing materials, and that's what we learned when we were working with composite plastics. Some of them get stronger once they go through the recycling process.
Wow.
That's an interesting development. And we think we see some tendencies in our research, and that's something we're definitely going to keep on looking into with this material.
Sounds intriguing. Truly intriguing. Thanks, Timo, for joining us today, and good luck to Arkio Industries going forward.
Thanks, Tarmo. It was a pleasure to talk to you, and looking forward to your next episode with Nature Backed.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Transforming 45, the podcast that celebrates the incredible power of passionate voices. I'm your host, Lisa Boat. Join me in conversation with heart-led humans who share their deeply personal stories of transformation. Transforming 45 is here to uplift, connect, and remind you that it's never too late to write your next chapter. So get ready to be inspired, empowered, and transformed. Join me in this community where through powerful storytelling, we heal and reclaim our inherent magic.
Electricast.
Hi, I'm Mark.
And I'm Peter.
We're the founders of Electricast Media, bringing you great podcasts like Nightmare Road Stories, Tech Talk Revolution, and Bodacious Minds.
Electricast networks include Ruby for female empowerment, the Best Business Network, and GPN for geopolitics. We built this company to create community and amplify diverse voices, and we really appreciate your support.
So keep listening to Electricast podcasts and hear the culture.
Electricast. Electricast.